Now here comes Carly Fiorina. New CNN ORC poll, a national poll conducted after the recent GOP debates shows a new runner-up to topple Trump, Carly Fiorina. Now, Carly Fiorina is, according to this poll, up to 15% support among Republicans and Republican-leaning voters. Now, that is a 12-point jump since August. So in a month, she's jumped about 12 points. She's now up to 15, and she's taken the second spot, overtaking Dr. Ben Carson. Now, how does this affect Trump? Well, Trump, who was at 32% in August, has dropped to 24%, but he is still in the lead. So Trump still leading the pack, but here comes Carly. Now, what about some of the others? Well, you've got Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who, in the debate, he was decent, right? But he didn't get a lot of time to talk. So I rated him as sort of a weak kind of debater because he didn't really do a whole lot. But apparently some of the Republican voters disagreed and have actually put him at fourth with 11% of the vote. Well, look at that, following behind Dr. Ben Carson. Now, rounding out the top 10. Rounding out the top 10 of this poll is former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, who was about 9%. Senator Ted Cruz at 6%. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who was at 6%. Rand Paul at 4%. And Chris Christie at 3%. And finally, John Kasich. John Kasich, the supposedly moderate, supposedly rational guy, unsurprisingly, 2%. Of course, right? But what you may have noticed that I've neglected to mention somebody. Well, if you noticed that, good for you. What else can I say? If you noticed that I had left out Scott Walker. Well, according to this new poll, Scott Walker, who was leading the field in Iowa, registered less than half a percentage point among Republican voters. Less than half a percentage point. He is now in the margin of error. Ouch. Ooh, when it comes to Scott Walker's campaign, error. Ooh. All right. So as I said, here's the polling results. Now, speaking of Scott Walker, what happened? What happened to you, Scott? What happened? Polling at 0.5%. That's an absolute disaster. What happened to you? Now, a recent article on The Guardian shows that Walker's campaign, well, he's flailing. He's flailing. Oh, it's not good, man. His campaign's not good. Now, I'm going to get into that later. Now, what about our new number 2, Carly Fiorina? All right. Well, there was another article out in Mother Jones that pointed out something very interesting about the former HP CEO. Now, and that's, of course, where some of her funding was coming from. That may just explain why she's actually in the race in the first place. Really fascinating. Now, as I said, not everybody who's in this race thinks they can win. Now, you think Lindsey Graham is in this race because I know I can win? Really? Mike Huckabee? Maybe he had a chance in 2008. But now? You think Mike Huckabee thinks he can win? Well, you think George Pataki thinks he's got a chance? Come on, man. What about Ted Cruz? Come on. Maybe Ted Cruz. After all, he thinks he's the anointed one. So who knows about him? But not everybody who's running in this race is doing so because they think they can win. And well, they're doing it mostly because of speaking fees and fame and money. In fact, you run a national campaign and you lose, well, you can charge lots and lots of money for speaking fees, as I had mentioned. Now, what does this have to do with Carly Fiorina? All right. Well, in Carly's case, this could be, her entire candidacy could be a way to try to knock somebody else out or to hurt someone else's campaign. Well, this is very interesting. Mother Jones explains. A super PAC backing Ted Cruz called Keep the Promise One, which is one of the conglomerate of super PACs funded by deep-pocketed Cruz supporters, revealed in its recent financial disclosures a $500,000 donation to Carly Fiorina's campaign. Well, okay, well now wait a minute here. Why would a Ted Cruz-allied super PAC give money to Carly Fiorina? Well, that's interesting. Now, let me go to some of the facts from the filing. Now, Keep the Promise, one, because as I said, there's a lot of Keep the Promises, apparently. Keep the Promise 1 had a healthy $10 million on hand from an $11 million donation from hedge fund CEO Robert Mercer as of the end of June. But it only spent about $536,000 and a little for legal services, it says, a little for surveys, and a whole lot for Fiorina. Well, now wait a minute. As I said, this is a Ted Cruz super PAC. Okay, so maybe you're thinking that they're hedging their bets, right? Well, since Carly Fiorina is actually doing really well. She did pretty well in the previous debate, the first debate, which allowed her to get up to the second GOP debate on the main stage. And she's doing pretty well in the polls, right? She shot up to number 2. Except that this donation was made before any of that happened. This donation was made to Fiorina on June 18th. Back in the beginning of the summer, before any of the debates. Oh, that's really interesting. Now, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks actually pointed this out. How super PACs don't just make donations just to make a donation, right? They don't spend money. They don't give money to candidates for no reason. That'd be stupid, right? Now, as Cenk reminded us, Republicans like to bring on people, certain people, who are more able to attack other people without as much pushback. For example, they bring on black people to say bad things about black people, right? Latinos to attack other Latinos, even gay people to attack other gay people. They've done that before. And now, oh golly gee, look, you have a woman. I wonder who she's going to go after. If you guess Hillary Clinton, you're 100% right. Fiorina has been taking every shot she can and every chance to hammer Hillary Clinton. Very, very interesting. Now, some of the things she hit on, and even in the debate, she would bring up Benghazi, the email scandal, her record at the State Department, bringing up all of that. All in an effort, I think, to take down Hillary Clinton. Now, if you're wondering why a Ted Cruz super PAC would donate money to an opponent during a primary fight, as that seems kind of sketchy, it seems like, wait, why am I giving money to an opponent? Well, they're doing it because they're kind of working together, from what it seems. And it makes sense because, well, no matter who wins the primary, they're assuming that they're going to have to fight Hillary Clinton. So what they're trying to do is that they're using Carly Fiorina, the only woman in the race in the GOP field, to try to take her down. When you look at that, you start to realize, wait a minute, that makes a lot of sense. Of course. And the other thing that I get from this, and I think a lot of people do, is that the more you drill down into politics, especially GOP politics, the more dirty it seems. And it only seems that way because it is. Politics is super dirty.